Okay, welcome back to another episode of Trading Levels with the Lighten. In this episode, I'm not going to be trading any levels. I recently did an uninstall and reinstall of NinjaTrader, so I figured this is as good an opportunity as any to walk through a complete workspace setup from start to finish. So how I get started with an uninstall, reinstall is the first thing I do before I do anything is make a backup of my Documents NinjaTrader 8 folder. I just give it the current date, and then inside of that, then I go in that folder and I rename all the key folders where I do custom development work, or I've downloaded indicators or features to. So templates, I'll rename that old templates old. Inside of here, I'll rename indicators to indicators old and strategies to strategies old, so on and so forth. Add-ons old, and um, then I'll come back out to the documents folder and I will after the uninstall, I will delete the NinjaTrader 8 folder. For some reason, they don't delete this documents slash NinjaTrader 8 folder, so I'll delete that. Then I'll do the install, and then I will go it back into the old folder, and I will pin all of these folders that I've marked with old to the quick access panel over here on the left. So you see I'll have my indicators old, strategies old, market analyzer columns old, and templates old. So that gives me easy access to the most recent backup of those key folders. Then I'll go into the new folders after the install and I'll do the same for the new folders. So indicators, strategies, market analyzer columns, and templates. That's something I found is helpful so that I can quickly grab old indicators and bring them into the new installation of NinjaTrader. I've already moved just the indicators that I need, so everything's super snappy and fast. Love it. Um, and I've got one other thing is I operate or I use the NinjaTrader Dark theme right here, and that defaults to this nice dark chart background, but it also defaults to a red down bars and lime green up bars. And the lime green is fine for me, but for whatever reason, the combination on the dark background bugs my eyes. I don't know. An easy way to change that is to go back into our NinjaTrader. Let's get this out of the way. NinjaTrader templates. This is the current folder. So go into our templates folder, go into skins, sorry, NinjaTrader Dark, and chart control XAML. Just double click that guy and it should pop up with whatever IDE you use. If you don't have an IDE installed, it'll just do Notepad. And then I change the down brush to ivory. So just personal preference, do what you want there, but that's how I like it. So now let's go ahead and start our first chart. We are going to start in the bottom right-hand corner. So I'm going to create a 10-minute chart. And because it's a Tuesday, I only need 1 day of data. And you can see it defaulted to lime green and ivory. Bar width of 3, all that's good. Gives me a chart that looks like this. I like the little grid background for some reason. Now we're going to need some indicators on this bad boy. Before we add the indicators, let's go into properties and set this to 24-hour so that it's just so annoying to talk to people about what time a trade happened and not have it in 24-hour. Also, I always set my trading PC to New York time. That just makes communication and from different time zones so much easier. We can all speak the same language. NinjaTrader, let's add that. And now let's go in and start adding our our support indicators, we could call them. First thing we're going to add is the drawing tool tile. I'll have that on every chart. It's always nice to be able to measure. And then drawing tools. And then I deselect any Fibonacci stuff. Don't ever need that. And then I add the ruler, and then I go to save, and I set save as default. And now it'll always come, you can see it here, pre-configured with exactly what I want on it. And that'll just kind of hang out up there. Oops. Now, some other support indicators are the higher time frame, the background hourly candles that you'll see on my charts and other videos. And then I set the outline opacity to 20. I want these as kind of to fade into the background. You could even go lighter, but I find 20 is pretty good. That gives us this kind of hourly background behind the bars. Then we're going to need the Enlighten bar timer, version 3, which is almost perfect, but not quite. As one annoying thing. And then this is the 5-minute chart. There are two versions of the button panel. There is one that's specifically designed for the 30-second entry chart in the bottom left. And then the that's version 4. And then version 1 is designed for other charts. So I'm going to go with version 1 since this is a 10-minute chart. And I can see we've got, I hit apply. We're starting to get a buildup of labels up here, so we know we need the label remover. And everything I'm going to be showing is open source and free. It's, you know, I'm a big proponent of open source. And with regard to trading especially, I think that, you know, everybody can bring value to the table. If you're a good trader but not a great coder, pair up with someone or a group of people on somewhere, and you know, you can share your knowledge with them and they can write the code for you. And then vice versa, like if they're good coders but not good traders, you know, they can add a lot of value by helping you code out some of your ideas. So definitely would encourage everybody to first look for open source and free, and then make sure they're providing some value back in return. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Let's see. So we've got the label remover. Everything's looking good there. I probably missed something, but I'm not sure what. We've got our button panel here. Let's add our, I'll go over the footprint a little bit later perhaps, but let's add each of our level indicators. The cool part about, you know, about the markets and about these indicators is that, you know, the markets are fractal in nature, and these indicators kind of play on that, right? So you can have the same exact indicator on a high time frame, you know, daily chart or even weekly chart as you do on your 5-minute chart. So big fan of that. These are all pre-configured for the right settings. These the Enlighten level multi-time frame indicators. So just click OK. It looks like a lot, but we'll zoom out. Another tool that I have on this computer is, let's see, is this Max2 tool. You've probably heard me talking about it. I think it's pretty cool. You can slide these regions around, and what it does is it makes pre-configured zones that you can then snap your charts in. So I could like say I wanted my charts to look like that for whatever reason, you know, and then there's these rulers on the side, so I can line this up. I don't know if you can see over on the left here, there's, as you drag these bars, a little ruler appears. Anyway, huge fan of their work. Good job, guys. So with that tool, I can then just snap this grid down to where I want it, or snap this chart. Ooh, we missed some good trades here this evening while we were futzing with our computers. I'm gonna switch, go down here and make sure this bar width is set it to usually like 3 or 4. So something like that. That's exactly how I want my charts to look like. You can see the hourly in the background marching up. You can clearly see. I just feel like it makes things visible for me. You may have another preference, but so since our lower, what I call the lower time frame charts, the 5, 10, and 15 are all essentially identical. What we can do now, oh, before I do that, there's for video, just for the sake of video, I found this cool tool in the community section of NinjaTrader, you know, the where people share indicators there, and it highlights the screen. I've started using it in the last couple of videos, but it's super helpful, so I should install that. And well, I'm going to try to install that and see if it breaks. So let's give it a try. So I always keep a code editor, a NinjaScript editor up so that I can drop, whenever I drop something into the indicators folder, it automatically compiles if you do that, if you keep this window up. So it's a good habit to just to always have one up, at least for me. Let's see. So where is that guy? So I'm going to go to tools. Let's see. I think it's in. So I created an install for it, but that install had some other issues. So let me go downloads. So I'm just going to grab just the add-on itself. It's called Cursor Tracker by TG. Let me see. Copy this guy. And we're going to go over to. Oh, I already have it. I already dropped it in here. Sort of. Let me see. That thing. No, it's definitely not installed. I think I thought about doing it. Let me delete that and then drop in the actual cursor tracker. And I get these two errors down here, which I was expecting because the previous guy referenced to is a long and sordid story, but I think what we want to do is add a reference to the original. No, program files. I'll fix this installer, but it is system. Here we go. This guy. So this might break other things. Let me save our workspace. Yeah, hey, it worked. Cool. So yeah, it just highlights the current chart that you're on, and is just handy for video. So not super important, but cool. All right, we're gonna duplicate this chart for 5 minutes. And we are gonna snap it up to the top right. And I just want to double check that I have the right data series. Yep, 1 day, cool. And then we're going to duplicate it one more time for 15 minutes. And I'm going to scroll back in time and make sure I'm not running out of bars. Yeah, so that's the signals in zigzag end at around this time. That's 200 bars. Each of these indicators, the 4 indicators, has is for performance reasons has a look back period, or what I call it bars to process, of 200, and that's pretty good. Sometimes, depending on the market type, you want to extend that back. I'm going to leave it at 200 for now, and then I'll increase it for things like the daily chart or the 4-hour chart. Probably even I'll even increase it for the hourly chart um, and the 30-minute. So we'll talk about some, the pros and cons of that. So that gives us our initial lower time frame charts. I'm going to save my workspace now, and now I'm going to duplicate this one more time, and this time is for the 30-minute chart. So let's save that. And for the 30-minute chart, we do not need a couple of things. We're never trading off the 30-minute chart. So let's remove our button panel. It's not really needed. Actually, I'll leave it on there, but I'll just hide the chart series, or hide the chart trader. And then the only other thing that I want to change here on the 30-minute is I want to get rid of the higher time frame candles. And I want to go into the data series and increase change this. Now I'm going to start using, instead of days, I'm going to start using bars. And I'm going to set this to, let's call it 400 bars. Maybe a 3. See how that looks. 4 is good. You can obviously play around with whatever you like. Okay, so this is our first higher time frame chart. I'm going to move some of these out of the way to another screen. And now what I want to do is rename this to 30-minute. 30 min. Take off the chart trader. Just go hidden. Cool. And now we are going to duplicate this in a new tab for 60 minutes. Minutes 60. So that will have 60 seconds. That feels a bit rushed. There we go. That looks more like it. Just double check those data series. See, it switched it when you reset the data series using the dropdown. That is the downside. So 60 minutes. Let's go with 400 bars again. Keep this down at 4. Get a lot more signals because we're going all the way back. So you can play around with it. Some of these signals are more valuable and less valuable than others. I may actually, well, I haven't changed the look back period, so all of these are still set to 200. So let's do this. Let's keep the data series at 400, and let's increase this to 400 and see that looks like perfect. And data series here, 400 bars. Good. And let's go into the indicators and set that bars to process to 400 for each of these indicators. Cool. Oof, that's a great signal right there. You get the, this is why you don't enter until the bar is closed. Look at this, pullback was higher than the original level. Still a great signal. Okay, so we've got our 60, 30, 60. We need to rename this one to 60 minutes. Actually, let's call it 1 hour. Sure. And now we're going to duplicate again. Did I not change that? Oh my gosh, I switched it to the opposite. So I guess I name these funky. It's obviously getting late here. Oops, not that. Okay. 30 minutes. I don't know how I was on the wrong chart there. And let's duplicate again. Scroll that, slide that over to the left. This one is going to be 400 bars. We're going to change this to, it's our 4 hour, so 240, right? Indicators are all still set. Oh, these are set to 400. I think I might have stopped mid update. All right, now I need to double check these. 400. Oh, you guys got to keep me honest. Okay, so there's our 60. We'll rename this 4 hour. And one more. We're getting there. Slide this one down to the end. Open up data series. Change this to daily. And we need bars. I feel like 500 bars on this one is good. And we'll go in, oops, go into the indicators and have them reflect that same. Now there's one other change that I'll make on these. This is the daily, so let's rename that. And you could add the weekly. Absolutely, it works. If you want to do investing rather than trading. Actually, sometimes those weekly levels hit, even for trading, they're amazing. But we just don't have enough real estate. So okay, so one other small change. My least favorite, if I had to order the signals in terms of, it's like picking a favorite child, but if I had to, it would be pattern C, then pattern E, then pattern B, then pattern A, and then pattern D. So you'll notice on all the lower time frame charts, 5, 10, 15, the pattern D is set to set to 3 for this the gap size. So what pattern D is it's where, here's an example right here. Let's close this right here. You can see how the green bar prior to the pivot high, it gapped. There was a large gap, and then it went down. So this gap is what is defining that level. So then it comes back up. If the new pivot, the wick, is anywhere inside of that gap, then I'm calling that a pattern D. And it's definitely valid on the lower time frames. I want it to be huge, like a big, at least 3 pixels or 3 pixels, 3 ticks in size. It's not my favorite pattern and can be a little misleading sometimes, especially in thin markets. Um, but on the higher time frame charts, I trust it a little bit more. So maybe for example, here, we've got it set to 3. I might decrease it. Maybe on the 4, I'll decrease it down to 1. Just to really capture all of them. Make sure we're capturing all of them. Daily for sure. Moving that pattern D gap size down to 1. I mean, really at that point, you're playing the untested level. So it's almost as if the pattern D is a stand-in right here for just an untested level. That's a pretty massive gap. Oh, that's a good trade. um, look at this one down here. Whew, to the tick. Okay, so now we have our higher time frames. And now we are missing our entry chart. So let's go to new chart, GC, type. This one's going to be 30 seconds. Days is definitely 1. Looks good. All right, cool. So on this chart, we definitely need our chart trader, 24 hours chart trader. On this chart, we are going to just snap this into place right now. Oops, that was weird. There we go. On this chart, it's just minor differences, but we're not using the light and level multi-time frame indicators on this 30-second chart. We are going to need our drawing tool for sure. It's already set the way we like it. We are going to need our bar timer. We are going to need our label remover. But on this one, we are going to use the Alighten button panel 4. And we are going to also use the Alighten Aggregation Advisor and the Alighten Order Flow tools. So, ooh, Still out there. Wow, the volumes. This is interesting. Are all of these? I think something's going on with my data here. There's no way that that's accurate. Let me save my workspace here. Oh, that's a simulated data feed. This looks like I was connected to. That explains that. I'm like, wow, we're getting to the midnight and we're getting gold contracts coming in at 193, like ES. Anywho, so we have on this, we have this modified version of the button panel, and we have this new Alighten aggregation advisor, and then we have the Alighten order flow tools indicator. So these three things work together. So the way the Alighten order flow tools works is it's really just identifying trapped traders. Let me see if I can get this thing one. Try to get, there we go. So all of these signals are for trapped traders, these stars. So we'll come over here and we get a couple different examples. The first type of trapped trader is based on the bubbles, which are the large trades, and then the trap trader stop sign signal here. So this is a long signal. This means that a large sell order came in and then price moved a minimum of 15 ticks above it, so that we get this stop sign signal there. So that's a long trap trader signal. The other type of trapped traders that we have identified here are stacked imbalance trap traders. So just like with a footprint indicator, like underneath the curtains here, I've created essentially a hidden footprint where, oops, interesting. Um, so here's an example. I loaded up a footprint chart over here. So in my footprint chart here, we've set a tick aggregation level, and that's how each, uh, all the bids and asks are assigned at those levels based on that tick aggregation level. So the same thing exists on the order flows tool chart here. It's just hidden. So we have a tick aggregation level, and throughout the day, you have to adjust that tick aggregation level. So how do you know how to set it? In the past, what we did is we played with it, and you constantly had to right-click go to indicators and update it. So Chris created this tool, the Alighten Aggregation Advisor, that tells you what you should set it at. So it's super helpful. You don't have to futz with it. You could just look at it and say, oh, I need to update that to 2. So then ZByte came along and was like, well, let's make it even easier to update. So you can just go in here and update it and set it just like that. So now you can read what you want from this indicator, update it from this indicator, and you're off to the races. So super helpful. Shout out to those guys for making that possible. And oh, you know what? Another tool that I completely forgot about that I look at for reference quite a bit is my cumulative value delta linear regression tool. And I think I forgot to bring that over. So this is exactly why you set up these indicators old, like that. So what I will do is come in here and I'll find the one that I want. It's actually version 6. It's the most recent released version. And then I'll just paste that in over here. And then since I have my editor open, it'll automatically compile. Remember, keep your editor open. And now that that's compiled, we'll come over here and we'll grab the CVD regression bias indicator. And I think everything just stays out of the, oh, this is actually, no, it does not. So the input series on this, if you just leave it like this, is the price chart. And that's not what we want at all. We need to set this to a cumulative value delta, right? We want to get the linear regression, not of price, but of cumulative value delta. So I need to come back over here and I actually need to grab a volume delta. We could use NinjaTrader's Order Flow Plus. I think they have one, right? But the free one from the community, from Gil, I think his name is, a couple years old now, but that's still hanging in there. So let's go to indicators old, scroll all the way down to volume delta. Where are you, Gil? This is kind of like the gold standard of the open source CVDs. And then let's drop that one in our new instance of NinjaTrader. Get the screen out of the way. Okay, so so that's compiled. I can hear it in the background. So we don't need to add that to the screen. What we need to do is go back, add our CVD bias. Now we need to edit the input series. Select indicators, scroll all the way down to volume delta. Oops, too far. And this is super important. For whatever reason, the plot it defaults to is open. You want close, and you want cumulative delta, not the histogram. So here, check this box, use this drop down, click OK. Now the input series for the linear regression is correct. So super common to just drop it on there and have it be the linear regression of price, which I don't know, maybe you find that helpful. But the idea behind the CVD bias indicator is the CVD itself is tricky to look at and see exactly what's going on. Is it increasing at a certain rate? Is it slowing down? It's hard to tell, but with the linear regression tool, it's a little easier to tell what's actually happening. It's not a precision instrument for entries, especially when the market is doing, is thin, but it does give you a pretty good idea. This green line is the actual linear regression. This is the bias histogram. Gives you a pretty good idea of what's going on. And that is a complete workspace. So I think I've given you guys everything you need to get started. Hopefully I didn't just gloss over a bunch of important stuff. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.